There we go. That will have done it. I need to turn this gate a little bit down here. Just 1 second. You. There we go. All right. Gosh darn it. Chris Alexander, you're our lifesaver. Good morning, everybody. There we go. How about now? You got me? Yeah, I've got level. That should be good. And I broke a string. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Doug Doppler, and welcome to Doppler's Gear Garage. Well, thank you so much. All right, well, we got to do a little bit of a pitch stop here. Hold on a second. We can do that like that. All right, first of all, hey. Oh, gosh darn it, Brenton. You mean good night? How you doing over there in Australia? First of all, let me give my salutations. Chris, thank you for the heads up. I wouldn't have known. There we go. Terry, good morning. Hello, hello. Albert, good morning to you. There he is indeed. Gosh darn it. All right. Eric, I still owe you a phone call. It's been a little crazy. What happened to the amps normally in the background? That is a wonderfully great question. They are off in the side ground at the moment. You know what? Let's do this. Let's see what happens here. I have no idea what this is going to sound like through that tone, but it's worth doing just to see. And it may not work, but gosh darn it. So only one way to find out. It might squeal. This is a lovely little Telecaster. It's a 59. Probably not originally designed to do that, but this is on loan from a good friend of mine. And I'm going to bring that gate down still a little bit more. You over here. That's a little more like it. Okay. That sound good. Awesome. Thank you so much. What's happening, Dyson Sphere? I don't know if I recognize you in these parts, so if we haven't met before, welcome aboard. Nice to see you. It's been a little bit of a crazy week. I was actually trying to... Stanlin, hey, it's been a while. Great to see you, my friend. Hello, hello, hello. So let's start here. There in the corner due to the stadium. That is correct. They've been banished sideways. Clay dots, it is old. Yes, it is. You got a good eye there. So this is first of all, let me just get this thing in tune properly. I wasn't expecting to switch from the V so quickly, but these things happen. So I'm actually in the midst of shooting the second in this little series of Helix Stadium Quick Tips. And I kind of got just done with all the dialogue, and I had to very quickly switch over. And in the midst of some of the stuff I've been doing here, every so often I change up the way my audio is routed in the computer. And there's nothing more embarrassing and more humiliating. You start, playing along. You think, oh, you're in the groove today. This is great. All of a sudden, no sound. You're like, meow. Hold on, let's see if I can do it. There we go. Right? I mean, it's just like instant bummer. Shall we say instantly flaccid? Flaccid is a word. So, in any case, oh my word. Hey, what a pleasure. Great to see you again, my friend. The next time, first of all, Francesco, are you going to be coming to the NAMM show by any chance? Because it would be nice to be able to kind of, well, forget that. I'd pull you in and we do a bro hug. So, in any case, great to see you, my friend. All right. Gosh darn it. And James, hello, hello, hello. And all right, Terry, in the market for a telly. So this is a buddy of mine. So a buddy of mine's 59 that's been on loan for a while. And basically, it's the same buddy over in the corner there is a high-powered twin that used to belong. The gate needs to... All right, let's get this gate a little bit less contentious. There you go. You get down there. One of the great things about utilizing some sort of modeling device there is it's pretty easy to bring in. Hey, by the way, Francesco, my buddy Chris, who I just brought in, he has one of your DVDs. So when he saw you whether you're on here hanging out a couple of weeks ago, he was like, dude, he's such a bad fill in the blank. Badass, I said it. There we go. So in any case, welcome. All right. Well, with that said, I want to run everybody through something to just kind of get the hands going. And this guitar is strung up with something like 11, so let's see if we can build some muscle going here. As a bunch of you know, I'm really passionate about kind of working up and down the high E string. But one of the other things, I did a demo the other day for a video that's going to happen pretty soon, where I was doing these little sequences of 4. So first of all, grab your guitar. We're going to be in the key of G major, my favorite key in the world. And we're basically taking on the high E string at the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 8th, 10th, 12th, 14th, 15th frets. And what's going on? At a pang, what's happening? I traded my Vox Night Train and Orange 112 cabinet for a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. Cool. Excellent. Is that a different... So you're the guy in China, but that's a different login, right? Okay. Sorry, Dyson. Yes, I am playing through... it's been a little bit of a crazy morning, so let me just hit the pause button. Gently refresh. So I'm playing through Helix Stadium. There we go. And that's kind of what you're hearing right there. And so, and I don't think I've got the ability to turn just that camera right side around. But this, you're going to get a little squeal from this guitar most likely when it's doing that. Oh, that's kind of cool. Kind of groovy. It's going to be one of those days. So the deal is, if you are so kind of want to grab your guitar, one of the things that I think people are always looking for is, one, I had the privilege of teaching at John Petrucci's camp and Corey Wong's camps back-to-back weeks. And the common thing that people had a question about was, how do I map the neck? Because it's a thing that if you don't have a compass, even though you know where it is you want to go, heading in the direction you're wanting to go, sometimes it's hard. So that's one of the reasons I like the key of G, because it starts at the bottom of the neck and goes up to the top of the neck. And so the deal is, we're just going to take this G, hold a A, hold a B, half to C, hold a D, hold a E, hold a F sharp, half to G business at the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 8th, 10th, 12th, 14th, and 15th frets. And we will double that A and B at the 17th and 19th frets there. And so I have a tendency to like to just normally do these in groups of 3 notes, played 2 times each, just starting down, and then up, down, up. So each time you move to that next sequence of 3 notes, you're going to be starting with a downstroke. And that way it just it has this feeling of down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And the neat thing about these guys is because you're not having to cross any strings, you're not having to cross any strings. Now, the whole thing is it's not so much about the rate, but it's about having the ability to just connect the left hand and the right hand together so they're wanting to talk to each other. So on this thing, was essentially what I did on that little thing that you'll probably see sometime soon. But it kind of was this very kind of Nuno inspired, right? Sorry, it's Mixolydian. I start off in major, then I go to minor, and then I go to Mixolydian. But if I don't go to Mixolydian, then I don't get Mixolydian. All right, so you get the idea. So I spent so much time motoring around on the high E string. It's because, one, you're not, again, doing transition between strings. But the other thing is it's a very audible string. If the whole band is banging away behind you, it's a string that arguably is going to be most heard front of house or wherever it is that you're playing. So the idea of kind of getting comfortable motoring around there and in the process of being able to have a clear understanding of how things work harmonically in terms of the intervallic relations, the scale degree numbers, and the note names. It's a really great way to kind of pull that stuff together and make it fun, because for some people, theory is about like eating cold peas and mushrooms and taking your vitamins or something like that. So the idea is that you can, again, just think about harmonically what's happening with the major scale, and hopefully it's not going to squeal and piss too much. There we go. All right, let me bring the gate level down a little bit more. That'll work. Okay, so the idea is harmonically, what we've got is the formula of the major scale based on the piano, and it's just basically 2 holes. Come on, gate. And a half, 3 holes, and a half. So that's 2 holes and a half, 3 holes and a half. But I would suggest thinking about it rather than whole steps and half steps, thinking about it as major seconds, a minor second, and then 3 major seconds, and then another minor second. Because when we describe it in terms of intervals, major seconds and minor seconds in this particular case, your ear is invited to the descriptive language. Because if I said, hey, if I'm at G and I want to move a whole step, I can literally just move 2 frets, and I will have moved a whole step, but without any sound. But when we talk about a major second, we're specifically describing the sound. So if you think about the major scale being a major second, another major second, a minor second, major second, major second, major second, minor second, as in... Now all of a sudden the ear is going, oh, you've invited me to be part of this conversation, thank you. And in turn, we can think of that as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, which we can then start to think about the whole steps and half steps again, as in 1, that gate's gonna kill me, 1 hold to 2, 2 hold to 3, 3 half to 4, 4 hold to 5, 5 hold to 6, 6 hold to 7, 7 half to 1. And so now we're kind of mapping the numbers as based on the major scale, in turn, turning that into G, hold to A, hold to B, half to C, hold to D, hold to E, hold to F sharp, half to G. Now I'm really getting annoyed. But the idea is being able to see these notes, hear them as the intervals, recognize them as the scale degree numbers, and in turn recognize them as the note names, gets you really equipped on a number of different levels to approach seeing the neck from those collective lenses, if you will. And in turn, when we start incorporating different... different sequences in the midst of that, then we get a chance to challenge our brain. But as we've kind of, if you will, laid the foundation of seeing the neck, again, harmonically in terms of the intervals, numerically in terms of the scale degree numbers, and alphabetically in terms of the note names, we're now recognizing where we are in that harmonic sequence. And all of a sudden, these things begin to overlap, which is hugely important. All right, let me just very quickly just jump into the chat here. And sorry if I didn't mention this before, I am playing through Helix Stadium. I think I did. I had a little top-down shot. Night Train and Orange 112. Oh, so you ditched the 112 altogether. Sorry, I missed that bit. I was so busy fixating. I think you're normally poo something or other. All right, so how do you dig the Hot Rod Deluxe? And first of all, it's a great amp. So quick aside, and we're going to jump back to this in just a moment, but I want to find the balance between working on this, kind of helping you hopefully become a better guitar player by the end of this live stream, and also answering people's questions. So first of all, the Hot Rod Deluxe is a great amplifier. I'm curious which version you got, because there are a number of different variations. There is a guy named Stan Cody, who is the Vice President of Research and Development at Fender, who was involved in the creation of the Hot Rod Deluxe 4, and that is my personal favorite version. But in my Amps, Racks, and Rigs video series on YouTube, one of the videos that's getting ready to come soon, it's not going to be with the Hot Rod Deluxe, but it's going to be a matter of using a switching system that allows you to use not only the 4-cable method, but also be able to switch channels on an amp like the Hot Rod Deluxe. Because anybody that has a 2-channel amplifier like that, and then wants to use the effects loop, and wants to control effects in the front end. If you want to do any of that, you're doing the pedal board tap dance. So the idea is to be able to use some devices to make that easy. So first of all, congratulations. How are you digging it? Robert Valdez, how are you? I bring the noise for better or for worse. All right. The best way to start, very kind. What's happening? Row Coley, New Hampshire? All right, explain this to me. And good morning to you. And have we met? Book that lesson at the end of the day, and you have started a great weekend. All right, who is this? Gosh darn it, let me know. All right. There we go. Okay, good. Mark Turvey, good morning. We're going to get you connected, my friend. Melissa and I had a talk. Johnny Baines, what's going on? Hello. You look new as well. Hello and welcome. Gosh darn it. All right. Do you feel any difference when you pick up a vintage guitar versus a modern reissue? I sometimes get the hype with the vintage. I sometimes don't get the hype with the vintage gear, except for the age. It's a great question. So the answer is this. If you walk into a music store and you pick up 5 guitars of the same model from the same batch of new instruments, one of them is going to be better and one of them is going to be worse. And the same thing was true all those years ago. So every so often you pick up a vintage guitar and you're like, that's a dog. Now, the interesting thing about this guitar, and what I enjoy about these live streams is I find myself purposely taking some chances, kind of going, all right, I'm going to plug this thing in. And gosh, it's got 11s on it. And this guitar, listen to that. That's the sound of a big, fat, thick, heavy string that is not really super friendly for... It's not that kind of a thing. And again, the squealy. This is not my guitar, so if it were mine, I might actually have this pickup potted, because that would. We talked about this last week, where my buddy Gary Brower, the greatest guitar tech in the world, he heats up a pot of paraffin wax. At least I think it's paraffin. You drop the pickup in there, and basically it makes it so that harmonic feedback there stops or microphonic, and so I would probably fix that on there, but this is not my instrument, so I will not be dropping that 1959 pickup in paraffin wax. So the deal is, I have a Broadcaster reissue. It's basically of a 52 Telecaster. It is a phenomenal instrument. Everybody seems to love Pinky over there, that shell pink. It's an American original 60 Stratocaster. It's just a phenomenal instrument. However, what they were trying to do was, quote unquote, today it's about 5-ish years old, but to create an instrument that you could walk in the store today that would rival what you could have walked into the store and bought then. So that is to say, there's a reason these instruments have the reputation they do, because when you find a really great one, they are really fantastic. And each one of them, kind of like the modern guitars today, has its own personality. There are those who are, like Chris Alexander, have also fallen in love with these Epiphone Les Pauls that I've been playing, because they're phenomenal. By the way, they're on sale at Sweetwater for $550 now. The most insane deal ever. And they're phenomenal guitars. Other people are kind of like, I can't deal with the headstock saying Epiphone, which I actually, like I've said before, I kind of negotiate that feeling of that. But now I just love the guitar so much, I'm like, I don't care. But the point being is that there's some instruments that are better than others, and the vintage ones, when they're great, are great. And when they're not great, they're not great. This is a really special guitar, and the thing that makes it really unique is... that neck pickup, woo! That's magic. Now, what I did in terms of the bridge pickup is I rolled off on the tone control when I'm over there. All right, this gate is going to kill me, but it's going to piss. All right, let me just turn you off for a minute. Yeah, I'll see how long I can deal with that. So, one of the things that Leo did that's a little strange, it's not as if these guitars weren't bright enough in the bridge to begin with. It was like, hey, let me make the bridge pickup and the treble strings even brighter, right? But So by backing off on the tone control there, you can get a little bit more. And I got to tell you, with the 11s that are on there, I'm working for my take-home pay. I got to tell you, that is a monstrous guitar to just kind of manhandle because the strings have got so much, not only girth to them, but the tension of them. But that's part of why, when my buddy kind of let me borrow this guitar, one of the first things, by the way, Doppler's hint on buying a guitar, you don't have to take it down from the shelf to actually, oh, shut up. I've got a distortion pedal on top of the Brit 2203 MV, and the distortion pedal, it's the king of tone. I've got the gain maxed up. I very quickly, just before I went live, I was like, I don't know, let me try something and see what happens. And then I broke string. And then my volume was muted. All right, so the deal is that a great guitar, you can tell literally just by hitting the strings. And so, because the character of the instrument, yes, it comes through when you kind of add vibrato and you start playing it, but literally you can tell the sound of the strings are going to reveal what it is. So if I'm walking into a store and I happen to see something, I'll just kind of go, and the guitar is going to tell you what you need to know literally in that first. It's got just got that right balance stuff in this guitar. But, like I said, there are some vintage guitars that just suck. So that is to say, if I were ever going to buy a vintage guitar, unless I could return it, I would never buy it ear unplayed. If I can't play it, I'm not buying it. All right. I hope that helps. Great question. What's going on, Brian? Great to see you, my friend. Hey. Thank you very much. Excellent. Welcome to the family. And, you know, the thing is that the Line 6 guys are really, 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 really nice. How do I say this? I'm on the verge of getting myself into trouble, but I'm just going to go there. The great thing about being able to go to first of all, what I love to hear is somebody that's as much of a guy like you getting excited about Helix Stadium. That's awesome. You're going to love it. It is a phenomenal piece of technology. You're going to love basically the Panama, you know, which is the 5150. It's an amazing. I'm not going to do it with this guy, as tempting as it is. It's just that particular is a great place. If you're into the heavy thing, is a great place to start. The video that I'm in the midst of making, for any of you that are coming here because we've met through Stadium, let me just let you know the video that's going to go live a little bit later today. That'll be super helpful for a bunch of you. Can I? All right, hold on. Let's see if I turn that off. Give me a moment. Let's see if I can do a little live demo. Are you going to still be friendly for me? Okay, good. Okay. All right, so there you guys are. Why am I not seeing my looper? What happened to my looper? Oh, really? All right, well, it looks like I can't do that. So, sorry. The demo that I've done, I can play the audio. Hold on. Actually, hold on. Let me see if I can actually play you. I can play you the video. Let me mute my mic and hopefully remember to unmute it. So what I've got, oh, all right, hang on a second. I love living dangerously. First of all, hello, everybody that's watching. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for hanging out. All right, you're looking at my editor here, and what you're seeing here is on the timeline, looping for tones. And the whole concept here is super, 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 super important. I'm going to jump back to that in just a second. So the deal is, regardless of what device you're working with, if it's a modeler and it has a looper, one of the most important things you can do is use the looper for dialing in tones. And in particular with Helix Stadium, and that's what this video is going to be all about, the most important thing you can do is use the looper and then cycle through the different microphones on the cab block. You're going to lose your mind when you hear this. And hopefully I will remember to unmute my vocal mic. Where is my little foot switch for that? There we go. After I do this, so you can hear this. And you're not going to be able to see it that well, but I can zoom in a little bit. Hang on, let me get this a little bit better like this. And so I'm actually going to zoom in tight on the cabinet there, and you're going to be able to see that better like that. There you go. So as this is playing through the timeline, you're going to hear that guy. Come here, little box. You're going to see where it says 57 dynamic. It's going to change each time I go to a different scene, and you would be seeing the scene changes. Come on. Oh, I need to be in the right window here. You're going to see the scene change up here. So if I kind of hit the play head and scroll along here, you're going to see that I go between the different snapshots. So just know that I'm toggling between them there. But really, what we're doing is we're really focusing on the sound, how the sound varies in the microphone block. The microphone that's on the IR and the cab block. Here we go. Okay, that right there, let me get back to the right screen here. There we go. That right there will absolutely fundamentally change how you dial in your tones. And I will have to say, the Ribbon 160 is actually it's a biodynamic 160. Hendrix used it. Lots of famous people have used it, and it is notably less bright, but can't hear the track after the first one. Hey, Danny, what's going on? Oh, that's so funny. I got to get my profiles right. Everybody seemed to have a little bit of a profile issue this morning. Thanks, love. That was Melissa letting me know she could only hear the first one, which is great. In any case, I at least unmuted my mic. The point being is that as you're setting up any tone that you're working with, there's a huge amount of variation between the different cabinets that you've got in there. That is to say, if we cruise over here, let me switch microphone. Let me switch images. And I apologize that it's upside down here, but as I go over here and I select the snapshots, and you see over here, hold on, let me get to the cabinet block. There we go. And you see down there, and as I toggle between the different snapshots here, I've set it up such that using the looper, I can just toggle through those different snapshots and change microphones to see which ones appeal to me the most. And that is a really, really, really important hack to being able to get, let me get back to my right window here, back to camera, there we go. Right camera, there we go. Hey, that's a really huge hack in terms of just making sure you've got the right microphone to start with. Why does that matter? Well, I was hoping. Oh, good. By the way, Generation 4, that's great. That's the favorite one. By the way, anybody that's out there that has previous generations, they're really good. However, the Hot Rod Deluxe 4 is the one to own, in my opinion. There was something in the mid-range of the previous generations that you could not get to with the tone controls that Stan Cody fixed with the Hot Rod Deluxe 4. Okay, excellent. Nick, what's going on, my man? Great to see you. By the way, I missed you before. There we go, Chris, the pink strat. Okay. So in any case, the bass tone, so can anybody give me, I'm going to scroll back down to the bottom here. Couldn't hear the track after the first mic. Yeah, it dropped the, okay. Hey, what's going on, Jason? All right, so let's see. So that's not passing audio through from Pro Tools. Okay, let me see if I can do this one more time, because this is worthy of hearing. So is my Pro Tools passer on? Hang on a second. Okay, you know what? So I get it. That application is not passing audio through, but Pro Tools should be. So let me pull that up in Pro Tools so you can hear it, because it looks like my looper dumped my loop, which makes me a little unhappy, but such is life. In any case, all right. So while that's booting up there, all right. Scoot back up here for just a second. Okay. Talking about sound, are you using an audio cord for an external mic for voice or guitar, or what else? The sound is great. First of all, thank you. For a guy that can play and has amazing ears, actually, sorry, a guy that can really play and has amazing ears, thank you. All right, up here and down in the frame, this is a Mini K47X from my good friends over at Roswell Pro Audio. And I am, oh, now you're going all flaccid over here. Stop that. I'm not a fan of having a mic in the shot when it's possibly avoidable, so I kind of keep it angled down facing towards my face, but just such that it's just out of the shot. I am going straight out of that into my Universal Audio Apollo 8 interface. I almost always will have just a little bit of processing on the way in. To tell you the truth about my vocal mic, the thing that I hate is my ceiling is right there. And so what happens is there's a reflection that comes from the ceiling back into the microphone that is a sound that I can't get out, kind of like the Hot Rod Deluxe, that upper mid thing that you can't dial out. It's like, so in terms of the stadium there, kind of my favorite thing is going to be another quick tip about this. And I've got my Pro Tools session launching here, so give me just a moment, is that I'm utilizing the SPDIF out. And so for those of you who don't speak SPDIF yet, not everybody who is going to use a stadium wants to use it instead of their existing audio interface. My guess, Francesco, is that you have some fancy pants. By the way, what everybody in the chat, including Francesco, what audio interfaces do you use? My guess is there's going to be a bunch of Focusrite people. I've got a really cool little Focusrite guy that's hanging out down there. But this is a SPDIF cable, which is an abbreviation for Sony Philips Digital Format, I think. But basically, this enables me to go out of the back of Stadium into my Universal Audio interface. I've got a great interface that works great with Pro Tools most of the time. So I don't want to use the Stadium as my audio interface, because then I have to connect my monitors to it. It's a whole other drama that, first of all, if you want to go that way, it's great. But I don't want to go that way. So the idea is I want to be able to get my sound out of there digitally and move it into my audio interface without going out of the XLRs, because there what you're doing is translating the digital signal to audio, and then the XLRs go to your DAW, and that translates from analog to digital. So you've gone D to A and A to D just to get from point A to point B that's usually a couple of feet away. If avoidable, avoid it. So that's what's really great about this SPDIF connection. And for those of you who don't know, the guy that founded Line 6 actually invented the light pipe, which was something that you could find back in the day. It's basically, I think they also call it Toslink, but it's got a little red laser, but they do not have that light pipe that type of digital connection on here. And I think it's they also referred to as ADAT. So in any case, pretty darn cool. All right. So let me see if I can get Pro Tools pushing audio into here, and I should have a marker here. And let's get here. Right here, first of all, that's the main intro demo. And then here is the thing that I did where it's switching between the 8 different microphones. And I'm going to mute my mic, and I'm going to look, and that, so let's see here. Flying by the seat of my pants. Okay, we're going to go here, Ecamm Live. I'm looking at my microphone output. There we go. So if I go like this, and I mute my mic. Okay, let's try that with a little less user error. I'm going to mute my speakers. I'm going to mute my microphone, and you're going to hear the 8 different microphones that I dialed up to the Snat Shop. Okay. Not a total disaster there. So the deal is, if you're using the cabinet like you would a regular cabinet and you were to mic it up, the choice of the microphone that you use is a huge deal. It's the equivalent of changing out the pickup on your guitar. And if you've ever swapped out the pickups on your guitar, it makes a huge difference. So the ability to just go through there, and again, what I did was I created 8 different snapshots, and there's more than 8 different mics. But literally, from the moment I started using Helix Stadium, the first thing I did was like, oh, okay. Because much of the time, the mic that was selected on the cabs was, the U67 was one of them, and it wasn't my favorite for the tones that I was going for. And so if you didn't know to swap out the mic, you wouldn't know to do that. More importantly, if you didn't have a system for going, hey, let me actually map that out to snapshots. Let me record a loop. It's going to play it back. I can switch between the snapshots, and for the part that I'm going for and the guitar that I'm doing it with, which one of those mics starts me off in the zone in the first place? And chances are, 1, that's going to be your go-to mic for that particular sound moving forward. But 2, if you find like, that's not quite working there, you will have had the collective experience of becoming familiar with, I think there's 10 mics. It may be more. I should know that number. I apologize. But there's at least 8, and some of which are going to work great and some of which aren't. What you didn't see me or hear me use was the Royer 121, because I almost always will pair a 121 with a Shure SM57. Sometimes I'll give them some separation space. Sometimes I will stack them one on top of the other. But generally speaking, the 121 is for the body. And so as an end result, it's not bright enough to kind of give you that spanky kind of Jimmy vibe. And by the way, for those of you that, for years, I didn't understand Telecasters. And the neck position on it. I had no idea that a Telecaster did that in the neck. I was like, holy cow. And really, it's, the funny thing is this cute little lipstick pickup, but they're really stratty. And I know that the dyed and the wool Telecaster people will be like, no, strats can be really like a Telecaster in the neck position. In any case, what I didn't realize is how much they were alike in the neck position. So, all that to say, let me just get in and check on the comments here. Oh, Sean Varley, speaking of the lovers of shell pink. Okay, awesome. All right, let me get a little higher up here. Okay, good. Yeah, nice to see you guys saying hello. I love that. Michael, another thought on vintage gear. Old stuff has been worked on by expert loving hands in many cases. So sometimes a good thing gets better over time. But I'm priced out of a lot of them. So buy Kiesel and toil over the stuff. So first of all, there are a number of really important points to what Michael brought up there. A great instrument that's set up poorly will sound poor and play poor. And you won't, or will play poorly, excuse me. So you won't get the benefit of really having all the groovy things that it does. So let's see, let me take off a bunch of the fancy pants stuff here. Let's do that. Let's take that off. Let's get that off. All right, I'm going to take the gate off too. I said off. There we go. All right, so I've taken the distortion pedal off. So one of the important things about understanding vintage instruments, I was on a trip to Canada, and I had a chance to play what was about a 63 Strat that this guy had in his family. It was his dad's guitar. His father had passed away, he inherited the guitar. And I could tell the guitar had never been played above the 12th fret. And so on top of Michael's point, it's not just the age of the instrument and the care of the instrument, it's how it's being played. And so, each one of the instruments that I have a chance to get to know and I start playing, it vibrates, quote unquote, to my vibrations. That is to say, And the other thing about each one of these guitars, if you listen, I got just a little bit, I think we were talking last time about the crud. I've got just a little bit of crud going on here. Hand crud. There's a little something that's very sweet in the upper end. A little bit of almost a sizzle on the top, and especially the more I back off on the volume. And one of the things about a vintage instrument, especially as you kind of work through the dynamic range, it has all these different modes of expression. You hit it softer, it responds to it because it's used to kind of, it's like a horse. Knows how to gallop, but it also knows how to, I don't know, not gallop, whatever horses do when they just do a normal thing. But the point being, oh, I got the tone control on. Which mic am I on? The mic that I don't want to be on. Yeah, all right, hang on a second. Let's get over to here. There. Oh, I see. That still got that. Well, that's kind of groovy, all right. So there's a thing on Stadium where you can set the snapshot such that whatever you last did on the snapshot, even if you change something else somewhere else, it's just going to remember where it was because that's why it's a snapshot. Which is going to get us back in a moment to where we started off with working on the top string. All right, so let me just make sure that I have got all the important questions. Cut out a Gibson logo and tape it on a guitar. The guitar is great. Chris, you are the best. Talking about sound, are you? Oh, there we go. I got that one. Okay. Hot Rod Deluxe 3 with Celestion Creamback. Speaker is favorite amp. Never give it an amp. All right, so there we go. So thank you very much, Eric. So to the point of what we were just talking about, changing out a speaker is the equivalent of changing a microphone and or swapping a pickup because that transducer of sound is such an integral part. No, I'm not going to remember the Celestion that comes in it. I want to say it's a V22, but I could be wrong. But there's a Celestion that comes in the 4. I don't know what was in the previous generation, but swapping out the speaker will make a huge difference. And so I'm kind of curious, Eric, did you notice that kind of mid-range thing that was kind of in between the tone controls that you couldn't get out? Love to know that. Great to see you, my friend. Honestly, I played my Epiphone so much, I keep forgetting it's an Epiphone. I'm right there with you. Little bit of input gain would sort those pups right out. Indeed. And I didn't do any adjustment there. Noted. No whammy over my hammy today. I actually broke a string at the top of the show. So awesome. Well, thank you, Slap. And I'm gonna one of the other ones that I'm started working on the other day is one for on Stadium bass tones because there has been a dramatic lack of content for the bass players out there. One of the things that I noticed in going to put the tones together from scratch is that there's a lot of bass information. So I found myself using the parametric EQ to shelf the bottom end. So that will be, oh, Peter Daviduck, speaking of bass players. Hello, Peter. Great to see you. Making the basses Jones again. Let's just go line 6 alone. So speaking of Jones, the thing about that guy, let's see here. Let me get over, do I want to do this? I'd love to know what happened to my looper. It really annoys me that I lost my, oh well, I could re-record it. It's not that big a deal. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of things here for anybody that's a bass player in there, because there's at least 2 of you here, so give me a moment to go to this camera here. All right, so I apologize that it's upside. Oh, hang on. I think I can fix this. Give me a moment. And to anybody that I'm driving nuts, I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants today, so my apologies on the slight... All right, I know I can invert the screen here. Where is that ability to do that? Oh, come on. There we go. Come on. Digital zoom. Picture settings. Black and white. All right. It's just hiding from me today, which is so annoying. So I apologize that it's upside down. But as we get over here into bass world, if I get into amps, the amp selection in bass world is really cool. So you have, and I'm out of, I can't load it. Oh, hang on a second. Let me go over here. Let me go over here and select amp. All right, there we go. So what we've got is we head over to bass amps. You've got the SVT 50th. You have the B15 and hello. You got a drip edge. You've got basically the Aguilar. You got the orange. And what I love, in addition to the SVT Pro, you've got the John Paul Jones amp. That's the Acoustic 360. So like for the bass players that are out there, that's a really crazy great selection of bass amps. So I'm going to put together a video of kind of setting up the tones. There's also the Noble preamp in there. But then again, Peter and Slaposaurus, I'm just going to presume you already knew that. So the ability to craft some great bass tones from the ground up, but that's going to be a video that's going to be a little bit more than one of these little quick tips that I'm working on. So in any case, I look forward to being able to serve the bass players that are out there. And good morning, Radical Gabriel. Holy cow, everybody's got a different, has YouTube done something with people's nicks? It's because everybody's kind of coming in with a different name. Did we lose audio? Yeah, audio died a second there. Yeah, sorry guys, we fixed that. Thanks to Melissa texting me. Braxel, what's going on, my man? Great to see you again. So, welcome to the Helix Stadium universe, right? Holy cow. Okay, you showed up just in time for me to drop audio. So the insight into evaluating a guitar whose setup is really off. Well, let's just go there. So the sad reality is that if you ever really want to not, gosh, am I going to go there? I'm going to go there, because I care about you more than I care about Guitar Center, which is kind of like that family member that just kind of went by the wayside, that just kind of, I think we've all got one. So Guitar Center, first of all, my first really terrible retail experience was at a Guitar Center. A guy that kind of it wasn't a classic bait and switch. He quoted us a price. He said, oh, but let me just go get my manager to approve the deal. And he went and back. And I was going to get my first SG. I was so excited. Goes and back's like, oh, we can't do that price. And my dad, who was an attorney at the time, hit the ceiling. He was just like, we're out of here. We ended up at Don Weir's Music City instead. And I ended up with an L6 Deluxe, which, by the way, is one of the crappiest guitars I've ever owned. Which is one of those guitars that I would never rebuy because it was crap. But I eventually got an SG. But the point being is like, poor Guitar Center. You go in there, the guitars are generally set up very poorly, and it's kind of tragic, unfortunately. So yes, and yes. Brett, what's going on? As long as you get the known flaws of the the hot rod fixed before it burns the circuit board, you'll be okay. So here's the other thing, and Eric, watch out for this. The input jack on the Hot Rod Deluxe is connected to the circuit board. So one of my favorite hacks, there's not one easy to get to, is that you can actually see the handles, and those are XLR cables right there and right there. But had they not been XLR cables and were something that wasn't kind of coming along in a little connection bundle there, I would have run that cable underneath the handle and into the input there. So if you happen to catch it underneath your leg, by the way, if I had a strap, I always run the cable through the strap so I don't know, especially on a vintage instrument. But the point being is that here we go, guitar buying stories. I guess that's what we do. So, man, I was all excited about buying a Hot Rod Deluxe, and it was the 3 at the time. And so I met this guy in a parking lot, and this guy, if we said Craigslist and we used the word bottom feeder, there's a reason. So he met me in this parking lot, and he just figured I was going to buy the amp, and I was like, all right, great. So I've got my little AC connector that can connect to the cigarette light, or cigarette thing in my van. And so I powered the thing up, and sure enough, the input jack where it connects to the circuit board, it was chipped. And I was like, nah. He was like, oh, it didn't ever do that before. I'm like, right, it didn't ever do that before. Later. So, that whole thing of like, if you can't check it out, you can't check it out. So, okay, noted. In any case, I have not known them to be unreliable, except for the fact that the jack. So Eric, be conscious of that. Just because there's always some lead vocalist wandering around, catches your cable. I have a Marshall Governor pedal, and it uses some really rare, weird foot switch that's like on no other pedal. So it was impossible to replace. I guess I could buy a reissue and put it on the original one. But basically, the lead vocalist in a drunken stupor kind of destroyed my Governor. And unfortunately, it got stuck in the off position, right? At least it could be stuck in the on position, but no. Lead vocalists. All right. Tom, good morning, my friend. Thank you very much. I've spent a bunch of time getting this place so I can actually live in here. SSL2. Okay, explain this to me. Which SSL2? Tell me more. All right, Steinberg, this is where I ask people their audio interface. Thank you very much. Awesome. Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Good morning. Apollo Twin X, come on. Rajiv, hello, my friend. Look at you, you shredder, you. Okay, RME UFX, RME M1620 Pro. You are all the way in. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know. Ecamm to UA Apollo, frustratingly too feedback friendly. I use an application also called Loopback. And so what happened was I went to delete one of the points of connection in Loopback, and I accidentally deleted my go-to preset. It was just a total freshman move. But basically, since then, my life has been slightly tormented. Focusrite 3rd generation, those Focusrites are great. Convinced Loopback may not be necessary. Interesting. Well, the challenge is that when I start running all these things together, I've got all these various ins and outs, so for me it's a problem. Awesome. Oh, there we go. Come on. The mic you're using sounds very good for voice and guitar. Thank you very much. Molto bene. Grazie. I use an old Focusrite with my Fractal, but think about upgrade to a new one. So first of all, the Focusrite stuff, if I make a suggestion, gosh darn it, welcome to Doug's House of Toys. So, if you're looking for a great interface, I think this is a 16i6, yes. This is a great interface, my friend. I'm going to call you my friend because we're guitar buddies now, so you're my friend. So here we go. So the great thing about this interface and why I love this interface, and I am a UA fanboy, so let's just be clear about that. However, this interface rocks. So first of all, you have 4 separate inputs. So let's say you want to keep your piezo-equipped electric connected. You want to keep your bass connected. You want to have some sort of vocal mic connected, and you want to have one that's for all your guitars, and have a dedicated input so that you always know, fill in the blank, whatever input source is always on, fill in the blank, whatever input you've got it. You actually have out of the box 2 different level controls. I believe those are the 2 level. Oh, those are the dual headphones, but you also have dual monitor control. I don't know if I pressed the right button, but you have, and then you can toggle between your monitor controls, and you got your kind of giant knob there. The thing is on the back here, and this is where the most important thing for me is, you've got your native SPDIF, you got your light pipe, so that is, say, your digital in and out. It's got the 2 things that I'm looking for. So there is an expansion format inside the Focusrite line. Then I'm going to forget the model number. But basically, it's 8 channels, and they've got a couple of different options of it, include Octapre Mark II Dynamic. And each one of them has an optional with, I think, 2 different levels of compression, such that you can't adjust it, but you can just turn it higher or lower or disengage it. And that connects via light pipe to this. So you could literally keep this as your home interface, but then bring it down to your rehearsal space and potentially keep that larger one down there for your that breakout box for your drums. Connect it to this, bring your laptop down there and record it on there. So the native MIDI is a big deal, because I don't necessarily know for sure if USB-C is going to replace native MIDI as a standard, because after USB-C is done, there's going to be some other thing, and native MIDI will still be there. So in terms of all the I/O, this interface, so just since we're on the conversation of interfaces, Universal Audio or this is really kind of where I live. And again, no insults at the RME stuff. There's lots of great stuff on the marketplace. And the most important thing is if it works for your workflow, it works for your workflow. The cool thing about this is that, well, first of all, Universal Audio very wisely kind of went, well, if you can't beat them, join them. So now you can actually use Universal Audio plugins with other audio interfaces. Before, you had to be inside the Universal Audio enclosure. You had to use one of their interfaces to be able to use their plugins. And I love their plugins, and I had a bad experience. Boy, that sounds like some really kind of lame, weenie type of a thing. I had a bad experience. I had a crap experience with Waves where I bought a plugin, and it was bought outright, but they changed the terms after I'd bought the plugin, and it was connect to Waves, whatever their kind of authorization thing is. They changed, and it's honestly total lawsuit material. They changed the terms of service after I bought it outright and made it an annual update. And not only that, it happened at 12:01 a.m. in the midst of a video editing session. I'm like, why is this not working? And at that point, I had an older iMac that, by the way, I'm saying this because watch out for this. One, there are times that you don't want to upgrade the OS of your iMac or device because it won't upgrade any further past where that particular device is able to go. But if it's working for what you do, then you're good. However, every so often there'll be some particular plugin that doesn't want to operate on your version of the OS. And so what happened was Waves Authorizer, whatever the heck that is called, the new version wouldn't work on my old iOS. And I'm on the phone with India. And let me put it to you this way. I speak English a lot better than that guy did. And I was ready to kill this guy. And I usually try and be polite. It's a small industry. I usually register myself with my name. You want to be nice to people. But I was so pissed that they basically hosed me. And I really need it. So, Francesco, I use a plugin from Waves called NS1. And it's for noise suppression one. And so what I do is I use it when I'm doing video on this microphone to get rid of that reflection coming off the ceiling and just the noise in the room. I actually keep I have forced air going in here. Anybody that spends time recording, if you got an air conditioner or a heater, it wants to piss noise into your microphone, which means basically half the time you're either freezing or boiling. And if you're shooting video, then you're either bundled up like, that shot of, well, let's not talk politics. I guess I just did. Or it looks like you're like, you're covered in sweat. There's no way to actually record. So I have forced air up there, but it allows me to basically keep that going and not freak out. It just kind of chokes the room noise out without it actually being a gate. So that's the Waves noise suppressor, and it works really, really well. And again, there's this reflection. This room generally, once it got treated, sounds good. I'm happy with the sound of it, but I do not like the sound of that reflection I get there. So there you have it. Fractal. Come on. So I'm kind of curious, Francesco. Have you thought about the stadium, or are you dyed in the wall? I'm friends with the Fractal guys, so don't get me wrong. I'm just kind of curious. And for the record, I will say this, generally speaking, as a number of you know, I actually tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. I'll be at a worship team rehearsal in the church down the road that quote unquote hires me. It's not usually the way I roll on Sunday morning, but they hire me to come play guitar. So I'm going to be over there. And generally speaking, on the Sunday morning thing, for me, it's always been Helix. But when it comes to my live rig and rack, I'm a Fractal guy. So I just kind of find for those different use cases, I'm kind of doing that. So it's an interesting thing, because one of the big conversations that's happening is like, all right, well, is it going to be quad cortex? Is it going to be Fractal? Is it going to be Stadium? And, you know, the other thing is Positive Grid has this new, so Positive Grid is going to come on pretty strong. And they've got this new plugin, Project Bias X, that has this AI prompt. I did a video for something that's going to come out. It's not a big video, but it's a promo video. And I put in the prompt for this particular sound, and now it spits out a sound. I'm like, flippin' A, it's pretty rad. And so they're going to be coming on strong. But obviously, there's the good folks at IK Multimedia, speaking of Italy, and their tones are flippin' outrageous, just kind of crazy. All right, hopefully I'm not ranting. All right, there we go. I had the experience with the D7 Dynamic and HX for bass sounds. So, and you know, this is the thing is that everybody ultimately kind of ends up finding that microphone that's right, but some of them can be big and boomy in a not good way. Good morning, Mike Rand. I'm looking forward to seeing you in January. Okay. Sonny, what's happening? Late, but always great to see you, my friend. I remember bringing a Telecaster to Vi Academy, felt a little self-conscious, and Tommy Emmanuel put his arm over my shoulder and said, "Look at that, someone brought a real guitar." That'll work, won't it, my friend? Oh gosh, all right. There we go. Instantly bona-fide over, and 200 gems. It trots. What's going on, Shredding Finn? All right. Always referred to as how it's been played as the Mojo. So this is an interesting thing. So that is so true. So this guitar actually used to, it's a Bonamassa cast-off. And I'd love to at some point, if I have the opportunity, to go, what makes you chuck guitars that you don't keep? Because this is... And by the way, this tone is not the tone... Actually, let me prove a point. All right, so this is not necessarily the tone I would have... dialed up for everything that I would normally play on this guitar, but the other point I'm... All right. I didn't forget. Okay, so this was coming back to our original idea, and I've got to get out of here in a minute because I've got a little something I need to work on. But I'm not going to let you down. More coffee. Gosh darn it. You know what? Dang it. Dang it. It is that time. All right, everybody. Let me know where it is that you're coming from and what it is that you're drinking. My favorite mug. The usual pizza espresso. And let's get over here. Let's get you dialed up with a little bit of... Let's bring that back in. Okay. Alnico cream for the win. There we go. The speaker geeks have arisen. Come on. Love that. Good morning, Michael. All right. Good. And yes, how it's been played makes a huge difference. Brad, what's happening, my friend? Nice to see you. Hello. No Renhaven today. Peter, for you especially, always, and Slaposaurus, of course. I think the speaker is the most important interface of the amp. I have done some speaker design. Oh, awesome. So I've got, well, there's an obscene number of 412 cabinets in here. There's 20 plus 412 cabinets, and they're all different, and they are all super, super important. I couldn't agree more. It's a giant, it's what the last thing before your ear, and it's so important. So yes, and yes. There we go. Come on. All right. 3 degrees. Holy cow. Yes. Like I said, there are times you're going to keep that heat on and have to turn the heat off because you're in the middle of a session. It's a little bit of a drag. Awesome. I love you guys, by the way. This is so much fun. Really excited to hear the Heritage with a cab, but I want to split the input at 275 hertz and comp the lows and put a Obsidian 7000 for the highs in the gate with an input gate high. Okay, so just in case the guitar players were wondering, we do not own the rights to tone tweaking. So the bass players do all sorts of variant. Billy Sheehan, a bi-amping fanatic, right? Doug Pinnick. So the idea of using parallel or frequency-specific systems is a big deal. So you can go really far down the rabbit trail, which is really cool. With Army, you do not need a loopback plugin. I use Total Mix, all built in. Way to go. Noted. I look forward to checking that out. So easy. I love that. Thank you. Noted. Okay, good. Okay. I get it. All right. To what does that refer? So, Digital Viper Club approves the stream. All right, Wes, sorry, I haven't made the connection that Digital Viper and Wes are the same. I think you mentioned it, but in my brain. So, Robot Shlomo, what's going on, my man? The unofficial uses the IK multi-read iRig HDX, and that was abysmal. Okay, so I will say that this cute little guy, the Tonex plug as a USB-C audio interface, was shockingly amazing. I was really incredibly impressed. It was like, first of all, the Mac was like, I see it. Pro Tools was like, I see it. I was like, holy cow. So I was really, really impressed. I'm sorry you did not have a good experience with that. I've been really impressed with the IK stuff. Just they are coming on strong. Francesco, technically speaking, I'm a real dinosaur. Why don't you do a live streaming about equipment to have for streaming or something like that? Thanks for your with pleasure. So first of all, there was a period of time that I got really excited about doing that, and I thought, well, is that a finite group of people or is it not? So with that request, what I can do and what I will do is I will put together, and first of all, I am dramatically working on, I've been doing these amps, racks, and rigs videos, and I've got a guy that's my YouTube coach. And actually, I think it's public information. His name is Cam Morris, and he actually is the Gibbs Sunday guy. And so he actually is taking people into this amazing course. So anybody that's interested in really getting their YouTube stuff together that's the right fit for him, he's my guy. So one of the things we're really helping do is get my act together. Instead of making these 20-minute videos, how do I actually make a 20-minute video that, first of all, takes days to put together, because that's just kind of how I've been, not how I am. And now what I'm learning to do is take the 20-minute videos and shrink them down to 12 minutes. And the 12-minute videos are going to become 7-minute videos. And, literally before we started this morning, I actually shot and captured all the stuff for the Helix Stadium Quick Tip that's going to go live when we jump out of here in a minute. And I'm just going to finish editing it, and hopefully I'll get it up and running before my first lesson at 11. So the point being is learning to become more efficient and do a better job of, more importantly, serving people like yourself, who I have the privilege of having as my new guitar buddy. So having sections where I cover it and actually letting people know in advance what it is that I'm going to be doing here is one of the things that, as I really kind of get this show fine-tuned, is what I'm going to do, as opposed to let me get this camera over there and just get the audio. Just it's for what I want to be doing, and the disparity between the two. It's humbling. Let me put it that way. So noted, will do, and thank you. It's the right time to say I've never owned a Telecaster. So it's an absolutely great time. And the deal is that the time to buy a Telecaster. So when you walk into a store and you pick one up and you go, that guitar speaks to me. And until that happens, don't bother. Greg Rogers Martin, I was in Tamales yesterday and I thought of you. So gosh darn it, here we are, my brother. Hello, my friend. Virtual hug. All right. Rinky Dinky OB9PE, Ireland. There we go. And coffee. You're in Ireland? Holy cow. Hello, Ireland. I've been to Ireland and I absolutely had the most amazing time. Irish people were so incredibly cool. And good evening, or coffee after dinner. There we go. No coffee, but hard on the Monster Energy. Ooh, lots of notes. Fort Worth, Texas. Come on. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Joe Lewis, what's happening? How you doing? Look at that shot. Get that gate open. There we go. Oh, I've got to do this thing on the high E string before we get out of here. All right. So, good. I'm almost at the bottom here. Good. All right. Hey, Riley, good to see you, my man. Hello. And okay, hey, what's going on, Sonia? Briefly checking. Great to see you. Excellent. The maestro of the dual axis expression pedal. We've got to connect on that. So thank you so much. I look forward to connecting soon. Excellent. And thanks for the advice earlier on amp head with clean headroom. Awesome. Great. Awesome. All right. So we were talking about the sequence thing on the high E string. So the idea is we're taking the combination of thinking about the intervallic relationship and thinking about it as 1, hold a 2. One, hold a 2, hold a 3, after 4, hold a 5, hold a 6, hold a 7, after 1. As in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And G, hold the A, hold the B, after C, hold the D, hold the E, hold the F sharp, after G. Gives us a framework of being able to see how all that stuff is connected harmonically in terms of the numbers and note-wise. Now, originally, I used to just run this in groups of 3 notes played 2 times. Now, the other thing I would suggest doing as you're working on that, it's not about speed, just getting the transitions between spots. So I would suggest actually taking each pair of 3-note groupings rather than going 2 times and 2 times, just taking the 1 time on each one. So that's literally... You get the idea. Now, this sequence for today, before I get out of here, is basically going to think about it as a 1, 3, 2, 1. Na 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 na. sorry. Got to get the last sequence there. That's the other thing you got to watch out for is butter to the edge of the bread with your focus there. You can also just make sure you just target and isolate the last sequences there so you've got that. You're ready with that. So. Oh, there we go. There we go. So. All right, so slowly. So again, I'm just kind of, if you think about the G, A, and the B as the 1, 2, and 3, I'm going 1, 3, 2, 1, and then I'm starting the next group of notes. And so what's neat about this is we're not playing everything sequentially, right? We're so used to playing notes sequentially that when we start mixing it up, that we get a chance to do this. All right, now the other thing is for those of you, and I got to get out of here in a hot second, that are feeling modal, you can not just do it with major, you can of course do it with Dorian. That was major Dorian, and then Phrygian and Lydian, so on and so forth, with each of the 7 different modes. And if you really want to test yourself, you can take the bottom 2 spots and switch between them. That was major Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian minor, and Locrian, playing the, if you will, 1, 3, 2, 1, and the 2, 4, 3, 2. Sorry. So on and so forth. All right. Doppler out. Thank you so much for hanging out. What a pleasure. What a privilege. Sorry for the kind of the loosey-goosey part of it. I can learn to do stuff on the fly and get a little bit better at keeping the ship moving in the straight direction. So thank you for your patience. I'm a little bit of a work in process or progress or something, but this is so much fun, and I love trying new stuff, and I'm trying to up my game, and I love having the other camera there, so I'll be able to do stuff, and I will figure out how to get that camera flipped such that as I do any stuff. And the other thing that's great about this is anything that I would place there, like Sonia's fulcrum pedal or anything, I could place in that kind of B cam, and then I can, by the way, Francesco, I have... This microphone is on a boom. So one of the other things is that I can move the boom over there and not lose access with the mic. I just have to remember to turn the mic, and I have to remember to bring that back over here. What I don't yet have the kind of, I'm not all the way in of having 2 separate mic stations, because then you can really get yourself into trouble. But with one of the other things that I've got down here on the floor is what's that was purposely me mouthing and not making a sound. It's a Hotshot 48, and that allows me to mute the microphone input in case I just want to isolate. The guitar and not have any bleed through the vocal mic. All right, in any case, everybody, thanks so much. Hang on, wait a second. Doug, yesterday I walked in my local guitar and asked about jobs, and he said, if I learn a little more about the guitar setups, he'll hire you. Dude, way to go. Riley, I applaud you. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Much appreciated. Everybody, and any of the new faces that are here, even if you didn't comment, thanks so much for hanging out. It's a privilege to be here. One of my favorite things in the world is to get a chance to serve the guitar community. Thank you for that, and I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. And I've got more videos that are going to be happening this week, including the one I got to get to edit right now. So let me get busy. Have a great day. See you next Saturday. Bye for now.